The gaming industry is filled to the brim with microtransaction-infested games from the likes of Ubisoft, EA, 2K, Activision Blizzard, and so on. And I want to be clear that these are not the type of games I'm here to talk about today. This video will purely be about the games that actually try to push this medium forward, even if it doesn't always work for everyone. Taking risks in the AAA video game space is something rare these days, due to the cost of making games, and it's something, in my opinion, that goes very underappreciated by some of the gaming community. If a developer takes a big narrative or gameplay risk with a new game and it doesn't 100% pay off, they are usually met with review bombings, social media, and YouTube backlash. And I don't think that's fair, as they should be appreciated and respected for their efforts and how they stick to their vision, despite knowing not everyone would like it. Before we continue, this video is in no way meant as an attack or me pointing fingers against anyone who genuinely doesn't like the games I'll talk about here. If you don't like these games, I fully respect that, and I'm not saying you're one of the people I'm referring to either. This video is more aimed at the people who review bomb or hate on games simply for the fact that they're not for you, or games that they had no intention of playing in the first place. My point with all of this is that many gamers constantly ask for more unique, risky AAA experiences, but at the same time ends up being the same people hating on the developers that provided them with just that. Take the game Death Stranding for an example. It was a new IP AAA game by Hideo Kojima and Kojima Productions that tried to do something unique and different as the main gameplay hook. And that ended up being hated by a pretty large amount of the internet, as it was now known as a trash walking simulator by many, not worth playing. Don't get me wrong, many also really liked it at release, including me, but it was not until the Steam version that we truly started seeing more appreciation and respect for the game online, as it got very positive reviews on Steam where you actually have to own the game to review it. This game was thankfully a risk that slowly paid off, but sadly even to this day it's called a shitty and boring walking simulator by many people online that don't even realize it also has combat and shooting, etc. towards the second half of the game. Another example is Dreams by the Little Big Planet creators Media Monaco at PlayStation, who does super unique cool games that's all about doing your own creations that you can share with other players. The amount of cool shit people have done in this game is mind-blowing. Sadly, the game seemingly sold very poorly because the casual audience and even the most of the hardcore people were not interested at all. I personally still keep out hope that a PC version will come out and help this game out in the future. Now we have something you may love or hate. The Last of Us Part 2, which is probably the most divisive and drama-surrounded game of all time, doing a large part that a character dies at the beginning of the game. And yes, I know, before you attack me in the comments, there's more reasons than that, like the writing being poor along with the pacing and so on. And I 100% respect that, I really do. But for me personally though, it's a game I love and respect as much as the first game, trying to push the seriousness and maturity of video game narratives forward. No matter what you think of it, I think many of us can at least agree that it did what we want games to do, even if it wasn't successful for many of you. Take risks and be confident in their own vision. My last example is about From Software. If it wasn't for risk, we would have never have gotten Elden RIng. From Software had a safe formula, and despite that, they changed it to an open world game. And that's not even all they've done when it comes to risks. Another big one they're part of is their vision of making challenging games, and yet there's still so many people with every single one of their releases demanding an easy mode, so they can play it. Look, I'm 100% all in for real accessibility options in all games. For people with disabilities who genuinely can't play them without them, but trying to force From Software to put in an old school easy mode is not something we should dictate, as it's their game and they decide what's best for it. Them sticking to their guns, which in most ways they have, is a big risk in itself, and it's also one of the many big reasons why people love them so much to this day. Without risk-taking in games development, we would have had an incredibly stale and boring industry. And honestly, if you think it's bad now, with the same types of games over and over, just wait until the publishers like Sony, Nintendo, etc. are afraid to do anything different in fear of outrage and review bombing. If developers never took risks out of fear, we would, for example, never have gotten games like the more recent God of War 2018 and the masterful God of War Ragnarök sequel as a follow-up. The 2018 game was a massive risk for Sony and Sony Santa Monica, as they changed up the formula of an already big franchise to more of a character-driven, a little bit slower, The Last of Us style game that still kept a lot of what made us love God of War in the first place. We wouldn't have Breath of the Wild, who changed an already beloved formula into an exploration physics-based open world game. We wouldn't have Resident Evil 4 that changed the entire way Resident Evil worked from the previous titles. And I could go on and on. I want risk to continue, even if they don't pay off 100% of the time, like The Last of Us Part 2 for some people, as it is what's keep this industry's creative juices flowing, and what gives us the games we love in the end. So the next time you see a game that many people love, but you may not, think about it more, and maybe you'll at least respect it for what it is. Do not jump on the hate wagons and review bombs, but instead cheer the developers on for their next project. A project they will invest years of their lives into creating for us, and who knows, that game might even be the one you'll love too. And that's all I have to say about this. And please remember that this is just my opinion, and it's totally fine if you disagree with me. And to be honest with you all, this is a video I was very nervous about making, as I was afraid that I'll fail in getting my point across. I hope it was at the very least reasonable and that you at least understood what I was trying to say. I'm still very new to this YouTube thing, I'm still learning a lot with every video I make. So thank you so much for watching and have a great day.